everybody, this is BrazenLotus. I got an early access code for Sims 4 Seasons via EA Game Changers, and I got a chance to play quite a bit last night. I still didn't really get everything, I didn't do everything. There definitely is a ton of stuff in this expansion. But the first thing that I wanted to talk about are the gardening and harvestable changes that the Sims team has made and how it works in seasons. So the first thing that I want to talk about are the actual harvestables and the plants and stuff themselves. They completely overhauled the whole system. If you go to the plants and you hover over them, you'll have the name like you had before and the quality as well. But you're also going to have this little bar, and the bar will tell you where the plant is as in its evolution. The little white lines on this bar show you the next level of the plant's evolution. So you can see here that there are 5 sections, which means that there are 5 levels. Before there used to be 10. Taking it down to 5 is definitely way more manageable, and it goes from normal to pristine. If you see a little white DNA icon show up on one of those white lines, it means that that plant is ready to be evolved. Below that bar, it's going to tell you whether that plant is in season or out of season. A plant that's in season is obviously going to be producing. If it's out of season, it's going to have gone dormant. Plants that go dormant visually are going to revert back to the original dirt pile that you started with. Don't freak out though. When the plant is in season, it'll regrow at the quality that it was when it went dormant. You're not starting over from scratch just because you see a dirt pile there. Trees are a little bit different. They don't revert back to a dirt pile and go dormant because trees just don't do that. And so the Sims team said instead they made trees so that they flower when they're in season and they're about to produce fruit. As most of you have probably already seen, as the seasons change in the world, the trees and the shrubs and flowers and stuff like that that you place via build mode will change along with it. So they'll turn different colors in autumn, and then in the winter and the early spring they'll actually shed their leaves and just be branches. What's really awesome is that they incorporated the same thing into the Harvestables. So every season you get a change in the leaves of the Harvestables. Some of them will actually turn this really pretty gold color in the fall before they start to turn brown. And then in the winter, the majority of them will actually lose their leaves and be just like everything else, just like a little bundle of branches. Even winter Harvestables will lose their leaves and still produce. When it snows in the wintertime, they'll even get covered by snow. So you'll see snow on the branches, and then the snow will completely cover the planter boxes and any like dirt mounds that are sitting there, and it looks totally realistic. One of the things that I was really happy that they changed is that they made all the Harvestables update at the same time. So when I say update, I mean the plant needs to be watered so it dries out, or the plant hasn't been weeded in a while so it needs to grow weeds and the weeds need to pop up at the bottom. This used to depend on when you planted it, like the time of day or whatever, and now they've made it so it's all synchronized. So every day at 6 in the morning, all the plants update at the same time. And it's really convenient because if it needs to be watered, weeded, or sprayed, you'll know in the morning. And once you take care of it, you won't need to come back for the rest of the day to do it. It was awful trying to garden, especially a big garden, and having to come out and you tend to the garden for a little bit and it looks great and you walk away, and soon enough you've got to go back out there because there's another group of Harvestables that need to be taken care of. Never again. The last thing I wanted to go over as far as Harvestables are concerned are seed packets. Before you used to be able, and I think you still can, you can buy them from the planters themselves if you click on it. You can go to the computer now and you can order seasonal packets online and get those immediately. You can also get seed packets from the catalog now. So how awesome is that? And once you get in there, you'll see that there's actually a new category. It's called Outdoor Activities under Activities and Skills. So if you're gardening level 0, you'll start off by having access to the starter flowers, vegetables, herbs, and fruit. Once you get to level 4, you can buy 2 of the seasonal seed packets, the spring seed packet and the fall seed packet. get to level 5, you can buy the summer seed packet and the winter seed packet. Then it's going to take you getting to gardening level 7 to access the farmer flower and fruit seed packet, the farmer veggies and herbs seed packet, and the uncommon seed packet. I think it was a little weird that they made it so you had to get to level 7 to buy the farmer flower and fruit seed pack and the farmer veggies and herbs seed pack, because each one of those packs is literally just a combination of those respective starter packs. So the farmer flower and fruit pack is literally everything that you can get from the starter fruit pack and the starter flower pack. By level 7, I'm already growing all that stuff anyway, and it really is pointless to buy the seed packs for it. The uncommon seed pack was actually pretty useful at that point, especially because I hadn't gone around really looking for seeds. And then once you get to gardening level 10, you can buy the rare seeds pack. Rare seeds pack is actually really expensive, but I think it's worth it if you're not going to do a whole lot of searching for seeds. If you buy enough of the packs, you'll be able to get stuff that you would normally have to splice or find in world somewhere, or otherwise kind of go through a lot of trouble to actually get. Next, I want to talk about the gardening skill and some of the interactions that come with that. Once you get to gardening level 2, you can evolve plants. I talked about that earlier. You can also research plants, which I really, really like a lot. So research allows you to go up to a plant that's in season and click on it and research it. And what your sim's gonna do is they're gonna write in their little notepad, they're gonna take some pictures, put on their like serious thinking face, and when they're done, they're gonna have a bunch of information for you. If you go into your phone and then go to the top and click the little button that says journal, it'll open it up and it will show every plant that you've researched. Now, if you go and you click on one of those plants, it will give you all the information you could possibly ever need to know about that plant. The first line should give you the average harvestable value, or the value. I'm not sure why it's different for different harvestables. I do know the average value means like the base value. So if the plant is pristine, you're going to get a pristine flower. It's going to be worth more than the average value. The next line will tell you what seasons it's active in. After that, it's got like a little brief description. And then after that, if it can be grafted to anything to produce something else, it'll actually have a note there that will tell you exactly how to do that. Some harvestables will list a used for section after that, and it'll actually tell you, hey, you know, this is used for food or this is used for grafting. And then at the very bottom in, it looks like purple, it will tell you the rarity of that particular harvestable. Where I think this really comes in handy is when you need to graft something, like I mentioned earlier. It tells you exactly what you need to combine. Or if you want to see how valuable your harvestable is, because you want to get the maximum profit. And instead of kind of scrolling through your inventory, you have all the information. It's just right there now. And just a quick note, I'm pretty sure that when you research a plant, the higher level that you are, the faster that you can actually get it done. Another thing that I completely forgot to mention is that watering plants takes way less time. I don't know how long it was before, but it seemed like it would take forever. It was like 10 sim minutes that you'd be there watering one plant. It's much, much faster now. When you click on a plant that's ready to harvest, it will say harvest all, which is pretty much the same as it used to be. But now it also says harvest and then whatever the harvestable is. So it'll say harvest bell pepper. I think this interaction is pretty much the same as it was before, but I like it because it makes it very clear that if you're just going to harvest this one plant instead of harvesting everything. One of the other big updates that they've done is they've now added the ability to sell your harvestables directly from the plant instead of harvesting them, putting it in your inventory, and then going and selling the whole stack from your inventory. That whole process of trying to harvest it and then sell it from your inventory was such a pain. I think that it made it really not fun to play as a gardener if you were trying to make money being a gardener. But now you've got 3 different options. You start out with the option to sell harvestable. I'm using that term generically. So if it's a bell pepper, it would be sell bell pepper. and it'll have a price by it to sell all the bell peppers from that plant. The other option is to sell all. Now that option is going to be the same as sell Harvestable up until about gardening level 4, I think it is. And then once you get to that point, you're experienced enough where sell all will actually sell the one you clicked on and the ones around it. The last option, which you don't get until you're gardening level 8, is Supercell. Supercell will sell any Harvestable on any plant within 5 tiles of the plant that you've selected. If you hover over Supercell, it will give you a list, so there's no confusion. You know exactly what you're going to be getting rid of when you hit the Supercell button. This has a really wide range, so be careful with this. You can see here that when I go to sell a Supercell, it lists the Fireleaf plant, which is way over here. The Sims team really gave us every option you could possibly need, I think, if you wanted to sell your Harvestables directly from the plant. If you want to sell the Harvestable, it'll just sell the ones on that plant, because maybe you have plans for the stuff that's surrounding it. If you want to sell all, maybe it's because you have a bed and the bed is filled with the same plant and you just want to sell that whole group. Go ahead and hit sell all and it'll take care of that whole thing for you. Maybe your sim doesn't want to harvest anything. They just want to, you know, be a gardener and make a buttload of money. Supercell would be really convenient in that situation where you don't need to pick and choose what you want to sell and what you want to keep. No matter which one your sim chooses to use, all those options together or alone really make gardening not only profitable enough to where your sim can do it on a regular basis and support themselves and pay their bills, but it also makes gardening enjoyable. I think gardening really was not enjoyable before. Next thing I want to talk about are greenhouses. So with the new update, we got glass roofs. Okay, awesome. Most amazing thing ever. You can use them for a greenhouse, or you can use them to, you know, make a more modern design where part of the building has, like, you know, a skylight or something. So many options. And what's even better is each one of these, well, this one roof, the glass roof, it's just a pattern. You can put any type of roof on there and just slap that pattern on and bam, it's a glass roof. As if that weren't totally enough to make us happy, they gave us 6 different patterns. And they're all really awesome patterns. They can be used for different things. And when the sun shines through the roof, it will create a shadow in the room below in that pattern. It really is gorgeous. This brings me to Harvestables indoors and or a greenhouse. In this example here, you can see that I've got several Harvestables in my little greenhouse. And if you plant a Harvestable under a roof, it will actually be considered sheltered and you'll get a continuous harvest from it because it won't ever go dormant. If you're not quite sure if you've got the right setup, you can just hover over the plant and it will tell you beneath the evolution bar if it's sheltered or not, and you can see here this one says that it's sheltered. Now this comes in handy, I think, for people who don't want to deal with having to kind of track their Harvestables over seasons, or, you know, they want a constant supply of something. Maybe, you know, they're a chef and they cook a certain dish and they just want to make sure that they always have that ingredient. That would make sense. It is definitely less hassle. It's more like the original system, but honestly, I prefer planting them outdoors. I'll put my special plants inside the greenhouse. I think that, you know, that kind of warrants that treatment. But otherwise, I really like the way that they've got it set up to interact with the seasons and the weather and stuff like that. That's just my personal preference. So I want to finish up talking about a couple of things that actually help you in your garden. First, talk just really quickly about the sprinkler. It does its job. It waters plants. Obviously, there are other uses for it. I'll talk about that in another video. But with regards to plants, it waters on its own. I thought when I had originally put it down, you had to turn it on to get it to work. And I was a little frustrated. I was like, okay, I have to turn it on just to water it, and then I have to go turn it off because it'll just keep running. Whatever, I'll just, you know, I'll deal with it later. Well, as I was playing, I realized that the darn thing goes off on its own every morning at 6. So once you put it down, you don't have to worry about it. The other thing I want to talk about is Patchy. So Patchy is a wonderful helper. If you go click on him, you can examine him, or you can chat with him, and you have several different options. You can make small talk, discuss the birds. You can question his ability to actually scare crows, which I don't know that I would do. That's kind of mean. You're kind of insulting his very existence. But you can chat with him, and as you chat with him, it will you'll develop a relationship with him. I don't know how to track that. It doesn't show up in your friendship panel until you've maxed out your relationship with him. And he doesn't have a bar above his head, at least not in my game. So I'm not sure how to track that exactly. But I wouldn't worry too much about it. Just get in there, talk with him over and over again. And then you'll level up and get to a point where you can have access to his outfit and his hat. From there, you can keep talking to him, and you'll get a couple of options that I actually used quite a bit, which was discuss gardening or something like that, and that will give you a little bit of a gardening boost. Another option that comes up is to check his pockets or something like that, and basically you're just pickpocketing him. You're gonna swipe some seeds from him. Usually you'll get some common stuff, but you know, there were a couple times where I got some seeds that I hadn't actually discovered yet, so that was helpful. Then at some point he's going to come alive, and he's going to come alive at the same time every day. I think it's the early afternoon, and he almost always starts in your garden, and he kind of goes and waters stuff. But then when he's done, he's helpful. He goes around the whole house. He does your dishes. He did my laundry numerous times. He'll wander around the house until he can find something to do, and then he does it. So he's definitely helpful. He's only active for, I want to say it's like 4 hours or 5 hours in the afternoon or something like that. But beware. With both Patchy and the sprinkler, if you want to level up your gardening skill, do not use them in the beginning. I'm telling you this from experience. I started out with Patchy and the sprinkler in my garden in my game. The character that I had, I really wanted her to start out with no skill in gardening whatsoever. It was something that actually SimGuru Grant suggested because of all the changes, and I agree. I think it was really fun to play with the new system. It was way more rewarding. But anyway, so I did that, but the problem with that is when you have Patchy there and you have the sprinkler there, you're not getting the experience from watering and weeding and, you know, spraying your plants, because the sprinkler's watering them for you. And when Patchy wakes up, if you haven't gotten to the garden, guess what? He's already got all that stuff done. So there's kind of nothing for you to do in the garden, except for maybe fertilize and stuff. I think once you're at the point where your gardening skill is maxed out, Patchy and the sprinkler are great for maintaining your garden, or, you know, you have a ginormous, you know, garden or farm or whatever, and you want to maintain that without it being a huge hassle to do. I know this video is really long, but I hope I covered everything. I'm going to be doing a couple more videos. The next one's definitely going to be beekeeping. And then I'm probably going to go over seasons after that, so keep an eye out. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I hope you enjoyed the video.